AEW All Out was absolutely insane. I'll be honest, I missed, I think, the first hour and a half, but I was able to catch up and then watch the rest of the pay-per-view. A couple of things happened, but to be honest, in this video, I just want to talk about maybe 2 or 3 things that happened at this pay-per-view. The most, interested that I was in the pay-per-view. I saw this very interesting tweet by Wrestling Mark 16, where he basically says, All Out never goes quietly. So every time AEW has an All Out pay-per-view, it's notable in some way or another. So he goes, 2020 is probably their worst pay-per-view, absolutely. 2021 is possibly their greatest pay-per-view, I would 100% agree with that. 2022 is their most notorious pay-per-view, of course. I mean, CM Punk with the press conference and all that stuff, MJF's return. And then 2023 is arguably their best in-ring pay-per-view. That I don't know if I can agree with, but basically what he's saying is All Out never goes quietly. Now the question is, what about 2019? And what about this year, 2024? Maybe 2019 is, I don't know, the pay-per-view that, I don't know what I could say about 2019. But 2024, this has got to be their most violent pay-per-view, their most extreme, bloody, gruesome pay-per-view. That was the theme of All Out, okay? Because All In, we're all friends at All In. And we're getting these great matches, and we're getting these storylines coming together, and it's fantastic. And now here comes All Out 2 weeks later, and All Out is absolutely the opposite of All In. It is violent. It was such an extreme and insane pay-per-view. Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander. Now, I'm going to say this right now. This might just be better than the Britt Baker Lights Out match that she had with Thunder Rosa. I'm going to say that right now. This was extreme. This was crazy. Okay? Chris Statlander gets the W. I don't think a lot of people expected this. I did, and I was hoping. I like Chris Statlander, and I want her to do great big things. She was the one that defeated Jade Cargill. She should be beating absolutely everybody. It should be Statlander and Mercedes maybe next, or Statlander and Mariah May. I don't know, it's hard, because both women's titles are taken by heels at the moment. So I don't really know. Now, the other thing that happened too, I want to mention, the Costco Guys were at AEW All Out. The Costco Guys were there. They did a couple of segments, like an interview and stuff, and they were featured a few times in the pre-show. Now, I missed the first hour and a half, and maybe I was in the bathroom, when I was watching it, but I don't think they were on the main show. I thought they were right there front and center. They got front row, seats. I don't recall seeing them at the main show, on the main show. Why is that? Why did Jamie Hayter at All In return on the pre-show? Why is Tony Khan fumbling stars and putting them on the pre-shows? SummerSlam 2012, or it could have been 2013, I forget. But SummerSlam was very interesting. They did this thing one year where Charlie Sheen was like the special guest, host or something, or special guest. They were checking in with Charlie Sheen throughout the night. And Charlie Sheen was there. A couple of matches would happen, and then Michael Cole and Jerry King Lawler would be interviewing Charlie Sheen and kind of talking with him. And it looked like they were going to set up this Charlie Sheen versus Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan feud. But Charlie Sheen, was a big star. The Costco Guys are big stars. So why are the Costco Guys on the pre-show? I mean, could you imagine if they put Charlie Sheen on the pre-show at SummerSlam 2012? Or could have been 2011, 2013. Costco Guys should have done at least 1 or 2 things in the night. Whatever. They could have come out to their theme song. There could have been like a funny segment. They could have interfered. They could have just been interviewed on the main show. Why are they on the pre-show? Doesn't make any sense to me. I understand, you want, the pre-show is supposed to be like the pre-hype for the main show. I don't agree with it, though. Pre-show, really, who's watching the pre-show that isn't already going to be watching the main show? The Costco Guys needed to be on the main show. The main show is what's talked about. Hey, Costco Guys are at AEW. Oh, really? Were they? Yeah, but they were on the pre-show. Oh, that sucks. No way. They should have done something on that main show. Anyway, I've talked way too long about this. The next thing that I want to talk about was the Bryan Danielson Jack Perry match. I had no doubt this was going to be a great match, and it was. Jack Perry, the way Jack Perry sells some of these things are so good. Like when he was selling the running knee by Danielson, like Jack Perry can do great things, and I loved his entrance too. Both entrances were fantastic. Obviously, Danielson had the final countdown, but Jack Perry coming out, this is what I said needed to happen. Jack Perry coming out in Chicago with the Young Bucks and a bunch of security. I wish the security had riot shields, but nevertheless, it was a great entrance. And then, you know, they did that little vignette with Jack Perry, and he's in the scapegoat car. I don't really agree with the goat head. You know, that's never been... I don't think that really fits Jack Perry. But to each their own. But I think that bus that Jack Perry drives, that truck, that black truck, that's really cool. I want to see more of that. I just want to see more of, like, this version of Jack Perry on Dynamite. Anyway, match was fine, but then after... You know, we see Christian Cage coming out, and he's got that contract that he won at All In. And here comes Christian Cage and Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne and Nick Wayne's mom. The patriarchy, here they come. But who is going to stop them? Well, of course, it's Jon Moxley and the rest of the BCC. Wheeler Yuta, the trios champions, by the way, Wheeler Yuta, Pac, and Claudio Castagnoli. Christian Cage kind of walks away, whatever. And then they all get in the ring. They're all friends, hugging each other, putting their hands up. Yes, sir, Danielson won. And then, boom, uppercut from Claudio to Danielson. Now, I gotta be honest, I don't like the way Danielson no-sold this. It was more like he was just in absolute shock that I can't believe Claudio just did this. Unless it wasn't supposed to connect. Like, unless it was just kind of supposed to, like, Danielson would have kind of seen it and kind of jumped out of the way and fell down. Unless that's what that was supposed to be. But I thought it looked like Claudio fully hit him. You know what I mean? And so Danielson kind of no-sold it. I don't know. I don't like that too much. Anyway, Bryan was in shock. He's like, what's going on? Wheeler Yuta was like, dude, what just happened? And Pac is holding Wheeler Yuta back as Moxley puts a bag over Danielson's head, and he's going to suffocate him. By God, he's going to kill the man. That's what happened. And that was kind of the theme of All Out, is just absolute murder. I mean, there were multiple times throughout the night where I thought, this is quite dangerous. Danielson was rushed to the back, but what made this so effective was that Pac is holding back Wheeler Yuta. Now, Pac didn't need to do that. Wheeler Yuta is possibly the worst on the AEW roster. Moxley could be, hog-tying Bryan Danielson, and Wheeler Yuta could be set free. He's trying to break it up. Wheeler Yuta ain't doing anything in that situation, because Wheeler Yuta sucks. I mean, his name is Wheeler Yuta. Nevertheless, he had a very good reaction. He's crying. He's so distraught. No, Danielson. And he's being held back. And it was very emotional. Like, that really did it for me. So good job on Wheeler Yuta there. Being able to, cry and, just look. It was awesome. That was a really good angle. Question is, what do you do with the trios titles? I mean, so there are two theories that's going to happen is either the trios titles are vacated, or Wheeler gives his to Moxley, or Wheeler develops some kind of Stockholm syndrome, and he's, so he kind of joins them. I don't know what's going to happen. They're going to need to explain that on Dynamite. Now, we get to the main event. This is the Lights Out Steel Cage match. Whenever they do stuff like this, and Justin Roberts is in there, and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, the lights are about to go out, and that's going to end the sanctioned portion of AEW. I don't know, that's really cool. And then he's like, when the lights come back on, AEW is not responsible for what happens. That's just such a cool, small detail that they add to these types of matches. Because it's not the first time he said this, but it really just... it really hypes it up. And then we get the entrances. And even before the match starts, as the cage is lowering, they're fighting. And it looked like the cage was going to land and squish both of them, and Prince Nana kind of pushes them out of the way. What a start to the match, first of all. This, from beginning to end, this match was just on fire. These two guys want to kill each other. That's what this needed to be. That's what it was. And this is like the 4th time they fought. And this rivalry is not cooling down by any means. So, there were many points in the match where I thought, that's too much. That should not be happening. Ouch. You know, this is maybe a bit too... You know, what am I going to do? As far as I know, there's no actual injuries right now. But here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that Tony Khan, you know, oh, what a great main event. Now here comes Swerve, and Swerve is going to be in some kind of 3 versus 3 tag match this Wednesday on Dynamite. Swerve should not be fighting for 3 months. Neither should Hangman. Neither of these two guys should be featured on Dynamite next week in a match. But that's always what happens for some reason. You got a championship fighting at a pay-per-view? Well, guess what? They're going to be fighting that Wednesday, that former Wednesday, or the Saturday on Collision right before the pay-per-view. For the title. It never makes any sense. And then always when there's some kind of extreme thing that happens on a pay-per-view, they're always fighting 3 days later on Wednesday. The match itself, though, was just extreme. Like, I can't even put into words what I saw. There was this segment with, I thought it was a knife, but I think it was just like a spike, like a wooden spike. And the choreography was really good when they're both trying to stab each other. I don't know, it was so well done. It looked like a movie where two people are trying to stab each other. Very well done. And then, you know, we get, obviously there's segments with cinder blocks and staple guns. And so it was just gross. Some of it was honestly just really kind of off-putting. But that's how this match was supposed to make you feel. And then we get to the needle part. I don't even want to talk about the needle part, because I don't think they did a very good job of explaining what it was. I think a lot of people are confused. Like, what was in the needle? Was there a point to that? Did he just want to stab him with a needle? A lot of questions that went unanswered, and I'm going to blame that on the commentary team. Or you know, Hangman just could have shouted something before he did it. And then we get to the ending, which is the chair headshot. I hope this was a gimmicked chair. If not, we might have a problem on our hands. I hate seeing chair shots to the head, but if this was a gimmicked chair that was supposed to break and was supposed to do all this stuff, whatever. You know, good ending, nevertheless. But I hate seeing chair shots to the head, man. I hate that so much. But that's, I mean, this was very good. Like, this opens up a lot of new stories for AEW. Dynamite on Wednesday is a must-see show, in my opinion. For me, I want to see it. I mean, even if you've kind of been out of the loop with AEW, even if you're not really interested, you're probably going to want to watch Dynamite. And we'll see what happens. I have a feeling, though, Tony Khan's going to fumble the bag on Dynamite. I have a feeling, you know, this happens every time. It's such an incredible pay-per-view, and then the Dynamite after is not what it should be. And I might make a video about that. We'll have to see. But All Out was fantastic, in my opinion. I thought it was just insane. Let me know what you think, what you thought about All Out. Good night.